Hello, everyone. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Today, on behalf of White Wind Publishing, uh, I have the pleasure of speaking with Sarah McCrum, the author of amazing book called Love Money, Money Loves You. Thank you, Sarah, for accepting the invitation for this interview. And
Thank you for inviting me.
I read your book and I just could not wait to see you in person, even online. And so we can just start with a few words from you. Just tell our Polish readers something about yourself. What do you do? Where do you live? What's your passion?
Well, I live in Australia. I spend a lot of time teaching people about how to have a healthy relationship with money. I teach a lot about energy. I spent 22 years training with Chinese masters, so Chinese energy masters. And so I learned it's almost like having a second language, which is the language of energy. So I'm always interested in how things feel, the sensory language of being a human being, intuition, telepathy, all these ways that we have that are not so commonly spoken, but are very, very important parts of our communication. So that's my world. That's what I love. I also have another business which is connected with money and helping to make the big money in the world flow towards important and valuable activities like looking after the environment, which are more important than most of the things that we currently invest in. So yes, that's a little bit about me. And I'm very passionate about what I call the well-being economy. So how do we make our economy based in well-being of everybody in the economy, not just the rich people or not just the lucky people, but what would happen if we would invest in and take everybody's well-being, and if we would have a society where we felt it's important that everybody has a chance to thrive and do really well. I believe that would be a much better society. So that really sits at the heart of my work.
Amazing. It sounds amazing. And you've already answered a few of my questions. Is the business that you're talking about, is it Love To?
Yes, it's called Love To. And there's a business called Love To Be Bright Green, which is the part I was talking about, which is really about helping farmers after nature rather than poisoning it, getting money to them so that we have more and more good farming and less of the current form of which is so damaging.
So it's real life and real change that you're bringing to life, to the world. It's not just talking about the changes, it's making changes happen. It's amazing.
Yes, I think that's very important. It's really easy to say this is wrong with the world and everyone is doing this wrong and government wrong and big businesses are wrong. But actually to go and make a solution, it's pretty challenging. I can definitely say that. But it's very, very real as well. And to know that we as individuals, you know, I'm just an ordinary person, really, I can help to make things go in a better direction. That feels really good. And it's also very much, I think, what my book is about. So it's important for me to be doing it.
The book. Say a few words about how the book came to be.
In 2010, I was in a very difficult situation financially. I'd had a business failure, a very unpleasant experience. It's very painful, and it left me without any money at all and no way of earning money at that time. It takes some time to get a new idea together or go and make another business. And so it was really challenging. And I was given a little book about money, and it had exercises at the end of each chapter. And one of the exercises said, what would money like to say to you? Which is a funny question to think about it, because we don't normally think about money talking to us. But I didn't think about it very much. And I had a little notebook, so I was writing notes. And on my pen, I just started And my pen started writing this message. And this was not my words. The first thing that I saw, my pen writing, I was holding it, but it said, I tell you to love me. And then, so it was like money was speaking to me. And then it said, I am an energy. I am very powerful and beautiful. And it went on for about 2 pages of writing with not a single mistake, not a single crossing out. And it shared this message with me that it is an incredibly beautiful energy, that it is here to connect humans together, that it connects us through our creativity and our contribution. And it was encouraged us not to be afraid of money, but to really understand that it's an energy of love and that it's an energy that we are free to engage with and pay and invest and spend and do all the things that give us freedom and give us joy. Feel free to do that with money. And it said, don't wait, just take me. I will love you. So that was the very first time I wrote a message from money. And then what happened is I thought, that was very interesting. So I did it every day for a few months, and I ended up with over 6 messages from money, all of them written the same way, without my words and without my thoughts. It was really like the energy of money was speaking to us, to me, but to everybody who reads those words. And those are the words without any change that are in the book. So I didn't go and edit, I just, tidied up the odd word, but I didn't make any mistakes when I was writing. It was really unusual for me, in a flow. So that's how the book started.
How did it feel?
It's strange because I wasn't in a different state. I was completely clear. I remember thinking, if you have a tube of toothpaste, this sounds very funny, but you squeeze the toothpaste tube and the toothpaste comes out of the tube, and you've seen that toothpaste before. It was rather like that. It was like the words were coming out of my pen like toothpaste that I'd never seen before. And I would see them on the page, but I didn't really grasp the meaning while I was writing. I just wrote it and kind of saw it. And then afterwards I would read it to myself. I would read it to my husband. And so many times we laughed because it's quite funny at times. It's very sweet, this energy of money, and quite innocent. It speaks almost like a child at times. It's not clever and complicated. It's very, very touching. Like my heart, especially that message, my heart opened in a way that it hadn't before. I'd never, ever thought of money as an energy of love. And all the way through, it's surprising. It says things that are the opposite of what we usually say and think about money. And so every time myself, it was like, wow, I never thought of it like that. So it was constantly surprising and very, very sweet.
When you were writing it, did you have the concept, or did the concept develop while writing that? Because you covered so many things. You covered beliefs about money, waiting for money, happiness in terms of money, debts, oh my gosh, like prices and value and self valuation, and like pretty much everything, self-worth. And they're like chapters, and they're so easy to read. But did you plan as you was it just coming out of you, or in the middle of it you started planning what was happening next, what was going to be in the next chapter?
No, I didn't plan anything. Every day I just sat down and kind of opened to see what money wanted to say to me. So it was probably that did the planning, not me, because the only thing I did, so each chapter is one day's writing, is one message, and I didn't change that at all. There are 1 or 2 chapters where I slightly changed the order just to group them together. Not very much. It's mostly in the order that I got it. So money really, somehow I feel like it was seeing that so many people are struggling and suffering with money. I always get this feeling it wanted to help us to understand so that we wouldn't suffer so much. And so it was looking for somebody who would receive it and share it. And for some reason, I heard it. I was there at the right time, and I got it. It could have been somebody else, but it just happened.
Wow. Yeah, well, I felt like reading it, the energy was very compassionate. And I didn't feel judged when I was reading it. I didn't feel like I was doing something wrong, or like it was nearly like, first, the language, like you said, it's so simple. It felt like even the child can read it, the kid can read it. But on the other hand, I felt like I was child myself, and someone was talking to me as to my child, maybe my inner child. It was so easy to grasp it. It must be amazing to feel like you're connected to energy of some kind, and this energy is telling you what she is, what he is. Like, did you consider, or did you like think about, like, who or what is really talking to you? I know the energy, but were you thinking if this a she or he or them, or how did you feel it during the process of writing?
I never thought about whether it was a she or a he, but the energy definitely has a very feminine quality to it. It allows masculinity. You know, there are whole chapters about how to ask for what you want, and be clear about numbers and value and business and things like that. But it feels like the underlying energy has this expansive and soft, you say, very compassionate and loving qualities. So we've missed that in our normal relationship with money. There's too much masculine energy in most of the world now. And it's a big relief when that feminine comes in. What was interesting for me is in the early stages of the book, money always talked about itself as I, like a single entity or a single energy. And then part of the way through the book, sometimes it would say we. And then it gave me a little chapter. It said, well, you might find that confusing because sometimes I say I and sometimes we say we. So what does that mean? And it talks about how, in a way, you could imagine it like a group of beings. I think of it a bit like a bureaucratic department in the sky, in the world somewhere. So we can't see it, but it's real. It really exists. And it's full of all the money energy beings. So they might be a bit like human beings, government department, only they're working in the money department and they're not human. And maybe we can't see them or touch them, so that for us they feel nothing. But for them, maybe they're very real. And I found it helpful to think like this, because then if I think, oh, I'd really love to, I don't know what, say something, it sends a request to this department. And I picture them all having these big books like ledgers where they write every human being ever makes in this book. And then it's their job to deliver it. And they have to follow the rules. It's a very, very strict department. And so some very fascinating things happen because of that. For example, I'll just give you a little example now, and we might talk some more about it. If I say, I would love to buy a new dress, and then I say, but I can't afford it, and I'm never going to be able to afford it. My instruction or my request to money is not, I want a new dress. It's, I want a new dress and I can't afford it. And so they write down, look, this is what I imagine. It's not quite like that, but somehow Sarah would like a new dress, but she can't afford it. And they have to deliver to me wanting a new dress and can't afford it. So it sounds really odd, but that's actually kind of how it goes. So when we have thoughts like, I can't afford, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy to have what I want, we actually get that experience in our life. If I could say, I would love to have a new dress, and then be quiet, don't say, but I can't afford it. Even if I can't afford it right now, just, I would love a dress, and stay open and don't think, oh, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to have enough money, but just, I would love to have this. Open, really open. That is what I learned from money, of how to interact with this ethereal, intangible department that really is listening to us, very, very closely listening to us. So it's like one energy and lots of energies at the same time.
Do you still maintain a dialogue with the money?
I don't
This is
write
still
very
happening?
often. I don't write very often. I do sometimes. I feel that I have a living, breathing relationship with the energy of money. And I can have, like with any relationship, some challenging relationship. Sometimes, I'm a little bit more tense or, a bit more closed. And sometimes I'm a bit more, sometimes money flows really well through my life, sometimes not so well. And I think it's important to understand that, because, money is on a wave. It's not going to be up, up, up all the time for all of us. So I always feel relaxed. Even sometimes I've had some stressful times with money, but I know that it's there. I also know that if it's difficult, it's something in me. And so I never blame money now if something's hard. I just know that maybe I'm a bit closed at the moment, or I need to learn something, or I need to grow or change. And I'm fine with that. That's life. So I think the biggest change is that relaxation. Just like I don't worry about it. And most of the people who I teach, I don't worry about money either. They just stop worrying about it and they get relaxed about it, whether they have lots of money, because very wealthy people get very about it, and then they learn how to relax. Or if people don't have enough money, also very worried, very stressed usually, and then they just come and say, "What about money now, Sarah?" And then they can make better decisions. So I feel that it's freed me to make much wiser decisions about money, and not to get lost or confused or lose my direction when there are money problems, when there are financial problems. In business, always at times you have financial problems. It's normal. But many people get lost at that time. They lose their sense of purpose. They lose their values. I don't do that. I stay. It's like I trust money. And it always, sometimes it's challenging, but it's always there. Actually, it always, I don't know how to say that. I feel it's always here with me, and it always comes through. It always works out.
I actually think that's the hardest part, to stop stressing about it. But on the other hand, I like that this book teaches how to relax about it rather than how to stop stressing about it. Because when you try to stop something, sometimes you make it even more of it. So what I like about this book is that it's like, okay, relax, but we will teach you how to relax. And you can do this, and that, and that. And there's so many options. And even if you don't do all of it, by reading about it, you feel more relaxed. And the other thing is, when I was reading it, I felt like this book wasn't just about the money, that it was about the abundance and love and life and expansion and wanting more. And so many books about self-developing, self-growth and spirituality and everything, like they nearly say money is not spiritual. Money is nothing to do with spirituality, with abundance in life. So it's not just people who like just have the beliefs from their parents and their parents from their parents that the money doesn't bring happiness and etc. But also new age spirituality sometimes say like money is not what you're looking for here. In this book I found it that it's okay to want, like, be spiritual and be aware of who I am, but also it's okay to want good material things because I know who I am and I know I can have it.
We think about love. We all know that we want love. We think about peace. Every child would like the world a peaceful place. Every child knows that war and conflict is not really the solution to things. And we long for peace. We long for freedom. We know these things. These are universal human values. And for me, these are the values of the soul. If you think about it, abundance sits in that. The soul loves to experience abundance. You can feel that even when I say it. It's like, yeah, of course. So it's not, abundance is not a caution to our spirituality. It's an expression of our spirituality to me. And look, it's not usually just this kind of needy type of trying to create wealth for the sake of it. Of course, the book's not about that. But it's saying, for me, what it does is it gives each the freedom to say what they want. And one person might want to live a really simple life and they don't need a lot of money, but of course they want to be able to look after children and have a safe home and have all the food and all the things they need, and maybe their children have a good education. For somebody else, they may feel very interested to run a very big, influential business. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes in spiritual worlds, we feel there's something wrong with business. Some of the greatest innovations in the world happen through business, and business enables all of us to contribute to each other. I bring my gift, you bring your gifts, together we create business, we create exchange, we create value for the world. So what I feel is the book gives you the freedom to decide who it is that and who you are choosing to become. And if you want to be a billionaire, that's fine. And if you are not remotely interested in it, no one can judge you. But what it does show is that when your heart is open, when you really approach money with love, you're going to have a much better experience. And if you want to be a billionaire because you're afraid and you want to control, and you want to, you're doing it to try to hide from your own fear of being enough, that is going to be a very uncomfortable experience. So if you choose it with an open heart, because you are creating value, you are creating huge value in the world, and that totally changes the dynamic.
When I was reading the book, I felt like this is a voice dialogue. This is just talking and speaking, speaking with the higher energies. It's amazing, and you just let it speak to you.
Yeah.
And now you invite other people to read about it. Yeah, you didn't feel like it was just yours to just take for yourself? No?
No. When I wrote it, I didn't think I was writing a book. It just didn't occur to me. I was simply writing and learning, and I didn't think a lot about it. And probably when I'd written maybe 3/4 or more of these messages, I started to think, if I was somebody else, I would probably think that this should turn into a book. And it was surprising for me, and I didn't know how to do it. And I was in a very poor financial situation at the time. So, I just started to think, okay, this needs to be shared. This is not a message just for me. This is a much broader message. And so I figured out how I teach it for free, because I couldn't afford to do anything really. And I published it. And it's interesting, at the beginning, I didn't share it with anybody. I just published it, tell anybody about it. Because, I guess perhaps it felt a bit strange, and I felt embarrassed because I had very little time. So I thought I wasn't a good example, but I hadn't learned how to do it yet. And I then had to go and learn how to have this kind of relationship with money, and a big change for me.
That's amazing. And thank you for being so modest and honest about it. I'm so happy, like you're saying, your situation was different at the moment, because like it can encourage a lot of people to just come out there and to the world and share what they have to say without this element of embarrassment, and like they're not an expert. You're just example that you can learn as you go. And it doesn't matter, you're not worthy of the message.
I found that it's very important to be sincere. It's very important to be, learning as best I can. But I know I've learned, you can imagine, let's say I was a health coach. And generally, if you've learned a lot about health, you can have very good health, but still sometimes you might get sick. that doesn't make it that you're a bad health coach. It just means you might learn something from that as well. So I think it's really important. I think it's important that we're sincere. Sometimes people write books and they really don't know, they don't know much about it. This was different because it wasn't my writing. And, you know, we need to stand in the message. We need to feel strong message that we're sharing. I think that that's important. And I think we need to be sincerely on the path to learning and growing in the sense of whatever we're sharing and whatever we're teaching. But I have never expected myself somehow to be perfect, because that then means like, well, I know everything, you don't, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And that's not the way. Like, for me, you're the expert in your life, expert in my life. I might have something I can share with you, and I also might learn something from you, because that's how human life works. So I don't like that view where I have to wait till I'm such an expert that I put myself above everybody. I don't think that's very healthy.
Yeah, and maybe that's why this book teaches, really, because you didn't plan to write the book to teach anybody. This is a paradox of the universe. I absolutely love it. Who is really this book for?
I feel that the book is really for the person who has questions about their relationship with money, the person who feels like whatever it is I'm doing now, it's not giving me the happiness and the well-being and the life that I feel is possible for me. So it's not for everybody everywhere right now. It could be for somebody in 5 years' time and for somebody else right now, because that's where your curiosity is. Some people, they've come across the book and it didn't mean anything to them at all because it didn't touch their curiosity. But so many of us are curious about money now. So many people are saying, surely there's a better way than the way we run our financial at the moment. And so this curiosity arises, and an openness and a willingness to approach something from a new angle. And that's a good time to read this book.
So it doesn't have to be someone who's already on a career path and making already a lot of money. It can be for anybody really who is curious about the money energy, right?
So yes, so I can expand a little bit on my answer. I think if we look now in terms of the different profiles of people, so it's very important to anybody who has a business or who's trying to have a business and who wants to understand and have a healthy relationship with money. If you think about it, if you have a healthy relationship with money, that's going to affect every part of your business. So actually understanding more of what money really is and how it works is a game changer in business. I think it's also very suitable for people who are very wealthy and often very stressed about money, to see that this is a very different from what you think it is, and to take that stress out so that you can start to use your money much more wisely. I found many people who are stressed because they don't have enough money or they're struggling. And that can be at many different levels. You know, it can be people who really are money, or it can be people who are in business but, you know, struggling to pay the bills. They make quite a bit of money, but maybe their expenses are very high. All these kinds of. So when you're stressed and worried about money, it's really good. And the other thing is, if you think about it, a family is a little bit, there's income that comes into the family. There are expenses, there's a budget that's needed. And you might find at the end of the month that you didn't spend all of your money, and so you profit in your family, or you might find at the end of the month that you spent everything or you've gone into debt. So it has all the qualities and characteristics of business. So I think it's a beautiful book for people, for men and women in families, not only for yourself, but also because you start to pick up your different way of relating with money as you get familiar with it. So those are some of the of people for whom I think it's particularly suitable. Yeah, the thing is that if you think about it, if it's in your family or in a business, if you have a relationship with money that is really stressed and you're constantly worried about money, think of the impact that has on your family. It affects your children because you're stressed and that passes the stress on to them. It affects relationship. It affects your budget and how you spend money because you're stressed about everything you do. And it actually when you're stressed and tense, it actually makes it highly receptive. It's harder for money to get in. And let's think about the same in a business. Supposing you have a business and you're stressed and worried about money all the time, that affects fees, it affects your clients, it affects your mood. Of course, it affects your family as well for all the same reasons. And your business will not do so well. We know that if we're relaxed and happy and enjoying doing business, we're going to do better business than if we're stressed and worried. We know that. Everybody knows that. They just know how to do it. So you will literally get better results in everything you do if you're relaxed, you're enjoying, you're open, you're receptive. And for me, that frees you to make wise decisions. And in the end, the decisions you make are the important thing.
Yeah.
It's very much calling you to self-responsibility and your own freedom with money, actually. It's not so there are rules and everybody must be the same. Yes, there are rules in the system and the energy of money. These are the rules of nature, if you like, the rules of life. But what you do with those rules is up really and truly your responsibility. And one thing I want to say, because people are often confused about this, often, especially women, can be in a situation of receiving money, for example, through their partner or through their husband, perhaps if they have young children. They think that that's their husband's money and it has nothing to do with them. The money that comes into your life, however it comes in, whether it comes in, will always come through somebody else. It might come through your husband. It might come through a client. It might come from your parents. That is always your relationship with money. Okay? And that's where you need to take responsibility, because you can't blame your husband or your parents or your clients or anybody or the government because they didn't somehow do the right thing by you. Actually, it's up to each one of us to take that responsibility. And I truly believe that the more we do that, the more responsible our governments and our institutions will become. I don't think they're very responsible at the moment. They certainly don't prioritize things that you and I probably value, but we don't prioritize them either. And so I think our values get reflected in our society. Our society reflects our values back to us. It's not always easy to understand that, but what it means is we are the people who can create the change.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And I'm so grateful for you to say this thing you said before about women and money that they get from their husbands or fathers of their kids. This is a big thing here in Poland because there's a lot of women out there thinking that they still don't make any money and they have never made any money and they've never had nothing to do with money because their husbands did all that. Usually they feel very upset and guilty.
And disempowered.
Yeah. Yes, exactly, disempowered. And they feel like oh my God, they have so much to do still to someday finally start making money or start relations with money. And what you said there, it's so important because to understand that they already have the relationship with money. Husband who makes good money and there's abundance in their family, it's also their part in it, in my opinion. It's not just that the husband make money.
It's definitely their energy, as well as the husbands. And also, if you think about the skills that are involved in family, you've got let's say you've got 3 children, you've got 5 people in the family, maybe there are grandparents as well. That's bigger than businesses. Many small businesses are only 1 or 2 people. And if you're in that situation as a woman, if you are just horrible to your husband all the time, you're probably going to have a very difficult time. So you actually have to learn how to be a nice person, how to be a kind person, just like you do in business. If you want to have a relationship with your boss, you actually need to, you know, be professional. You need to manage your emotions. You can't scream at your boss whenever you feel like it because you don't like it. And so your husband is not your boss, but it's so easy to not realize how much you're doing already. This idea that if I'm receiving money from my husband, I'm not doing it myself. You are, and you are building all the skills that you could need in businesses. And often, very, very often, women take the main responsibility in running the family budget, for example, which is a very skilled activity. Please don't imagine that it's not, as is bringing up children, a very skillful activity where you learn so many different, but you just take it for granted because you know you've got to do it. So there's tremendous value in this work, in this contribution that you're making to society of bringing up children who are healthy and happy and well and thriving, we hope, because that's the future of our. It's as important work as any other, probably the most important work. So yes, I feel very strongly about that.
Yeah, that's important message, very much so, especially in the Polish society. This is still a big thing, that women don't bring anything to the table, and etc. We used to have this tradition that it was normal that women are looking after kids in the house and the men make money, but everything just changed, and now, like, I feel like we can't find the proper ground, in the sense that women try to make money to prove something to men here in Poland, and men start to question their value as a woman, and it's all just messed up. So this is, I'm so happy you said that, and I actually feel this will encourage more women to read the book, because this book is not just for men.
Just say one thing about that. I actually feel that very often women understand this book, or that the feminine energy really understands the book a little bit more easily and more naturally. Sometimes, especially if men are very in the masculine dynamic, it's like, yeah, but what am I supposed to, how am I supposed to do it? And the book is often saying, relax and enjoy and be receptive, which is a very feminine approach and is very about money. So yes, I've found that I think the majority of readers probably are women. There are many men who read it too, but women actually now in today's world are very, very receptive to this kind of approach.
Why is this book different from the other titles on money and finances?
Well, the fundamental difference, of course, I've made very clear. How many other books are written by the energy of money itself? Like, it is funny different because it's not a book written by a human about their personal experience of dealing with money. It is a book that gives a voice to the energy of money, however you understand that. And so it's a unique voice. It's something that we genuinely have not heard before, I don't think. So from that point of view, it's just fundamentally different. I think that if we have that relationship with money that's being offered through the book, it makes other books make more sense. And some books maybe won't make sense anymore. Like, you know, bulletproof your business. Actually, making your business bulletproof, that's the kind of title we get sometimes in books about money. Being bulletproof isn't really of a good business. It's just a kind of language thing. So some other writing about money might make less good sense once you have this understanding of it. And people say to me, as you have also said, that they can feel it. People pick up the book and their hands get hot. Some people read the book and they start getting financial results just by reading it, not because they went away and did anything, but because they've opened themselves to the energy of money. And so it's bringing us, I feel it's bringing us into the future where we're much more alive as human beings, and we are much more in connection with life and all these different aspects of life.
What is the most important thing to build a healthy relationship with money?
There are three words that come all the way through the book. One is enjoy, and one is love. Relax, enjoy, love. I find that people often need to learn how to relax, know how to relax, but if we really knew, we wouldn't worry about money. So they're easy words, but they do, you need to really make a decision. Okay, I'm going to relax about this, or learn how to relax about it. I'm going to enjoy my life instead of getting upset, dramatic and all of that. I'm going to let enjoyment be important. We have to make a decision to let ourselves say enjoyment is important than all the other things. And love, you know, if anyone who has a relationship will know that just because you fall with somebody, it doesn't mean that it's easy to love them. And to love, especially over a longer time, we go through ups and downs. We have to figure out how to love each other again when we're really, I don't want to love you. That's love. Love is in the real world. A cloudy, fluffy thing up here that's just perfect. It gets made in human interaction. So to love money is asking a lot of us as humans, but it's really, really it's been really worth asking myself, how do I do that? How do I actually love money? Maybe how could I love it more now? How could I express that love in a more way so that I'm constantly growing in my relationship with money? So the things to remember are relax, enjoy, love.
It's amazing because for some people, it's been always other way around. I need to be loved by money. No, you make sure you love money. You make sure you relax about money, and money will come to you. Does the book contain like practical tips of how to get out of the debts and improve your finances and etc.?
It actually has lots of practical tips in it, but they're a bit different from the practical tips you expect to get in another money book. So, for example, one of them is every single day to write down something that you appreciate about yourself. And then the next day, read what you've written and then write something else. So you get a growing list of things you appreciate about yourself, because that builds your sense of self-value. Value yourself more, you automatically value money and your lifestyle and your quality of life and your contribution more. Healthy thing to do. So it's not going to give you tips on this is how you write a budget, this is how you do a spreadsheet. Yeah. It's going to give you tips on how to make this thing that we call money work within your being, within you, so that whatever you do, whatever you want, you are, you bring that you to it. You bring it into your business, you bring it into your family, you bring it into your finances. So, yes, it's full of tips, and some of them are unusual.
So they're more like tips for internal work with ourselves, right?
In a way, but it also it tells you things like, you know, if you want something, how to do it. It is internal, but it's actually what changes your external. So they're very practical in that way, you know, and that even nation exercise, if you appreciate yourself, your world will change very, very quickly. If you appreciate yourself more than you have before, it sounds like an internal thing, but it changes your external world. So in a way, the whole book it's not just, I've got a really nice relationship with money, but there's no money in my life, business is failing. That's not what it's about. It's like, I have a good relationship with money and we are thriving. We're doing really well. We're getting better and better doing business. My family is feeling more secure, is more prosperous. That's actually a good relationship. It's not like, you know, I love husband, but actually we have a miserable life. That doesn't work. If I really love somebody, we have a creative life, and you know, it's the thing that we do. So the inside is the outside in a way. You can't separate them.
Yes, and I have to say, when I was reading the book, that I felt like this book was about money, but also was about relationships with people, with our beloveds, with it was about the health. It was about anything you could imagine that you want in your life, because I felt like it was covering how to be in a relationship, how to be in a healthy relationship with any kind of energy that you want to invite to your life. So that's why I keep saying, for me, this book is not just about money; it's about life itself.
Yeah. You know, what I came to recognize is that the energy of money, really the energy of manifestation, it's the energy of materialization. How do we have an idea and turn that into reality? And ultimately, it's really the energy of creation. So this is a very profound, important energy in our life. It's not just the energy of ins and notes, credit cards, and bank transactions. That's a very small part of it. It's actually a big energy that is, it's the energy that responds to our wishes as human beings. So that's why, if you think about it, money isn't anything. You can't eat it, you can't drink it, you can't do anything with it except exchange it for something valuable. So it's just a representation, but the value is in the things you buy with money, whether it's an experience or a service or a physical material thing. And so it's not the money itself, but we've turned money into a devil. We've turned it into something really negative, and it's not. It's this beautiful energy that enables us to share value with each other. So it's all about value, but it's very pure. It's just like this little pure energy right in the middle that is huge. It's everything. So I think that's what I learned in the end. At first, I thought a book about money, but it turned out I was writing a book about life, this from the inside of me to my physical material life. It's that. How do I change that? How do I get more of what I want and less of what I don't want in my life, which is a very natural motivation for human beings.
Yes, exactly. Do you think the situation in the world at the moment, in terms of money and how it's used, is bitter?
The situation in the world at the moment is reaching the end of its a stage. It's a stage based on now to me a profound misunderstanding of money. Yes, we can say that it's bitter. We could say many things about it. It's clear that it's not serving the majority of human beings. It's clear that the current way of being with money isn't working great for a lot of people, actually. I just take it as a part of evolution. I think it's no mistake that my book 10 years ago, 14 years ago, and it takes time for these things to change, but it doesn't surprise me that it was written now, not in, say, 1960 or 1980 or something. It belongs to its time, and I think we're in a transition. So probably it's helpful to look at the current situation like, you know, when you've relied on a belief in your life and you start to realize this belief isn't working anymore. I change my beliefs. We are changing our beliefs and our understanding of money now. And because the system is so strong and so dominant in our society, it's extremely uncomfortable to change. There's going to be a lot of resistance. There's a lot of fight against the change. But to me, it has to continue to evolve.
Do you already see some sort of changes in the financial system in the world?
Yes, yes, there are real changes happening. Actually, although like the whole explosion of cryptocurrencies is a very interesting real change. In many ways, a cryptocurrency is like an old currency. Most cryptocurrencies don't have any value. They're just numbers. But the freedom that given people to transact with each other, that we have not known for a very long time. There's the first time I did a crypto transaction and I realized there's no bank between the other person. It's just a pure choice that we've made to pass something from one to the other. And it was this incredible freedom. I smiled so much. I felt so happy when I felt that. So I think that that's an extraordinary change that's taking place. There are lots of difficulties with it, I understand. But if you look at that decentralization of power, that is a very significant going on. If you look at the fact that Bitcoin, I think, is the 5th largest asset in the world now, that tells you something about the desire that people have for this decentralization of power. And I think it gives us an indication of the way things are going. For me, now what we need to do is get money with value. So cryptocurrencies that are backed by real value. That's what I've been working on in my other business, so that a can be backed by the value of human work, that people have made a contribution. It's not just a numbers game. And we'll see more and more of this, of linking currencies with value. That's what will change the financial system.
Have you been to Poland?
I have. I'd love to come sometime. Maybe sometime we can do that.
Yeah, we could do that, of course. You're very welcome here. And
Yep.
I'm so happy you could be here with us and we could have this chat. Is there anything else you would like to add to all that has been said already?
I don't think so. I think really we've said a lot and with important things, and it's probably enough. I'm happy with it.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you
I'll
very,
be
very
with you.